Well, hello there. My name is Cary Weston. Welcome to the Practical Marketing Show. Find me online at practicalmarketingshow.com. How you doing? Today I want to tell you a couple stories about experience-based businesses. And I believe that even if your business is not an experience-based business, there's some concepts and, let's say, strategies here that I think you can get some value from. Take away some nuggets and apply it to a situation that you may have in your business, okay? So the two businesses I'm going to tell you a story about, one is a theater. It's a community theater, puts on plays, right? The second is an orchard. It's a working farm. It's an apple orchard. And both thrive on the experience of being there. Okay, so the first one I'm going to share with you is the theater story. And this is a small town. And they came to us and they said, we have a problem. We have 8 shows a year, and our goal is to sell more tickets, more subscriptions to the annual subscriptions, but more tickets in general, right? And so what they said is, we have a high peak season at Christmas because we do the Christmas Carol. It's a commercially recognized play. It sells out. They have to add shows. And it is the most popular show they do every year. When they talk with folks who have come to the theater for the first time because they are attracted to the Christmas Carol, they find that folks have a good experience and they want to buy a ticket or two more to other shows, even if they don't recognize, and this is a big, big challenge for artistic theaters trying to bring cultural diversity to a community, even if they don't recognize the name of the play. They trust that the experience they have will be a good one, right? And so they came to us and they said, how do we sell more tickets? We try advertising, we try promoting, we try all these things. And the first half of the year is just slow. So we broke down, I think the important part of this is to understand that with an experience-based business, there's no returning the product. It's not like buying a microwave from Walmart. And if you don't like it, you return it and you move on with your life. 2 hours or 3 hours spent somewhere, right? Baseball has this problem. 2 hours or 3 hours spent somewhere is a commitment that you can't undo. You don't live in a parallel universe. And so we have to have, small c here, courage to try new things, because the opportunity cost of trying new things is spending time doing something that we know we like or that we're familiar with or that we understand. So that comfort zone is a challenge sometimes, isn't it? And so when folks look at plays, in particular with the theater, and they don't recognize the title, they don't recognize the story, they don't recognize the play as a whole, and they are struggling with committing to something new, getting out of their comfort zone, they're less likely to buy and try that experience because of what we just shared. You can't get that time back. But when they do come in and they recognize and they have a good time, they want to come back again because they've broken that seal of the unknown. They've conquered that fear of, will this be a bad choice? And they buy another ticket and come back. And so what we did is we took a look at the first show of the year and we asked the question. It's a very, most of the time the questions aren't super complicated. You just have to take a step back and look at the big picture, right? So we said, what if the first show of the year was a commercially recognized name? Okay, so it wasn't so obscure, it wasn't so new. What if it was something that the average person, the non-theater going person, because that's who they're after, they're widening their circle, widening their audience. What if we could start with a play that was commercially recognizable, right? Culturally recognizable, popular. Could we then build off that momentum to sell more tickets? And so we tried that. And I think the first year it was like Driving Miss Daisy or something that was a very popular movie that got converted into a play. And they sold out. And they took the opportunity of talking to that audience while they were there for that commercially recognizable name to explain and to build interest and intrigue into the other plays that were less recognizable. And they sold more tickets and they sold more subscriptions. And so the moral here is to recognize the restraints of what may be going on in the head of your customer, your right fit customer, to understand what you're actually providing, And what are the roadblocks between getting new folks in or getting them to do something that you want? Because it's not always price, and it's not always schedule, and it's not always selection. Sometimes it's just literally human fear, right? And we're battling in an experience-based business. We are battling with the unknown, the choosing what we know over the courage to choose something new. The second story I want to share with you is an apple orchard. And if you've been to one before, there's orchards like this throughout America, where there's a corn maze and you can pick your own apples, and you can sometimes pick berries and flowers, and they have an ice cream stand and a pizza shack and sometimes music and that kind of thing. It's an experience, right? It's certainly cheaper. So in our neck of the woods, our predominant grocery chain is called Hannaford. And so it's certainly cheaper to run down to Hannaford and buy a bag of apples than it is to go to the orchard and pick your own and go all through other things. But, the reality is they're not selling apples. They're selling a wholesome experience where there's interactivity. You can ride a tractor, you can pick your own, you can have fun, right? And to recognize that as the product is important. It's not the things coming off the tree or off the plant, it's that experience. And so what they found was when they came to us, they said, listen, we have year-round staff and we have this property year-round. And they put a lot of work into the corn maze, and they put a lot of work into promoting the apple orchard. And so there's about a 6-week season from the end of August to maybe the first week of October, something like that, where 80% of their revenue was coming in. So 6 weeks, 80% of their revenue. And so they said, how do we spread that out, or how do we get more? We don't want to detract from that corner, but we have year-round costs. What can we do? And so we said there's 2 challenges. Number one, do you know who your customer is? Okay. And they could define the attributes of the customer, but they didn't know literally who the customer was. And so we rely on them remembering us, don't we, to come back. And so we needed to solve that problem. And the second thing is, let's figure out that right fit customer coming in that 6-week period. What are they really after? And what attributes could we model and perhaps spread out to some other events throughout the year to tap into that interest? And so the first thing we did was, knowing that 80% of the revenue and the high traffic volume was coming in that 6-week period, we did a contest, a very simple Again, these are not complex suggestions, just utilizing basic things at the right time to implement a strategy. So we did a contest. So everybody that came in that 6-week period, filled out a contest slip. And we gave a few things away, spent some money, and got their email address. So we first established the email list that they didn't have. Okay, so we're building our own community. We're taking advantage of that mass market, that mass traffic, that really high volume, small time period, condensed activity to collect the information. And then we looked at 2 other times throughout the year, knowing that was a gathering experience. It was bringing the family together, having memories, having fun. We found 2 other opportunities throughout the year that we could bring those folks back, or offer an opportunity to bring those folks back and have a shared experience. And one was at Christmas. Okay, so they have the ability of having Christmas activities in the snow and sleigh rides and that kind of thing. And then the other thing is right around the beginning of summer, June, let's say, berry season. So they started utilizing their land to plant berries, and the predominant one is strawberries, but there's others. And so they built their list, and they started having entertainment around Christmas and activities around Christmas, and started talking to those people that came in the in the fall for apples, and then relate it to berry season in June. Again, similar type of activities, similar type of experience, and welcoming folks back to share in that. And what they found was people would come. So you model why they're coming in that short span, and we had a couple times throughout the year to bring those back. And so the reason I want to share those 2 stories is, you may not be a theater and you may not be an orchard, but there are things inside these stories, these lessons, these takeaways, and these successes that I think you might be able to find value to apply to your business. So the first one with the theater, which was recognizing the restraints of what keep people from coming, and then getting them to come sooner so we can break through that comfort zone, right? And then getting them to feel more comfortable in coming back, spending more money, buying more tickets. And the second was recognizing why people are coming, what's valuable to them, and how can you model that? How can we repeat it? But we could only do that if we could talk to them, right? So we were having that email list that we gathered was an opportunity to reconnect with those folks that have already had the experience with us. Same thing with the theater. They built their list too. but reminding them of the experience they had, reminding them of the activities that were here, and then encouraging them to come back. And it worked in both instances. Traffic was up, sales were up, and they started creating a repeatable system, right? So they continued the email collection, they continued the contest, they continued to build that list, and they utilize that as an asset now to convey and communicate so they can bring folks back. So really 2 stories I wanted to share with you and hope that there's a nugget here. Understanding your audience, understanding what your true value is, understanding the constraint of getting more of them or having them do more of it, and then just reverse engineering to a point where you can break it down, communicate, stay in front, and then model that, right? And rinse and repeat. So I hope that was helpful. Reach out if you have any questions. You can find me, practicalmarketingshow.com. You'll find this episode and others. You'll find some nuggets. You'll find my business, consulting and coaching there as well. If you've got a question, reach out. I would be happy to help. Hope your business is doing well. And till we talk again, be good. Talk soon.